this is our first lab for our AutoCAD Engineering Graphics AutoCAD class. Today's lab session, we're going to do the following items. The first one is recreate the attached AutoCAD image, including title block, and explain what steps and commands you use to produce. So in addition to the drawing, then you will type like what steps you used. For instance, if you used, like for drawing 1, I used line. For drawing 2, I used circle, that kind of explanation. Number 2 states that, like, using the line command, you need to draw this octagon using the relative coordinate polar coordinate system. And number 3 is, like, they just give you a random kind of diagram, then you will be able to use this. Okay, so the commands you may be interested here, I already gave you some hint. There's a line command, there's a circle command, there's a little bit of a trim that you'll be using, and then text, and then of course you need to know move, how to move around, and then there is another command known as offset. Just to give you some kind of heads up, probably some of the introductory parts. So the first thing is, like, you need to have a convenient unit. Since AutoCAD is part of an Autodesk company, the company is here in the United States. For that reason, mostly it's the functionality of the units that are by default incorporated in AutoCAD is inches. Okay, so therefore, like, for instance, if you type units, then there is something that will pop up and it will show you that is what the drawing units are. So by default it's in inches. I mean, for today's exercise, it's just to show you how to change units. Let's set our units to millimeters and then press OK, and then let's proceed. Okay, then the first exercise, it shows you, like, there's a drawing. First there's a large diagram or rectangle, that is what we call it title block. And then that title block is 180 by 270. Okay, so as you can see it here, then therefore you need to draw a rectangle which is 190 by from here to here is 270. Okay, so the way you'll proceed with this is as follows. So what you will do is you will want to start the line command, right? So here you have the line command. You either click on it, or you can just simply type L and then press enter. That will start the line command for you. For today, this is our first AutoCAD. Then you have the liberty to start anywhere you want. You're not going to ask you to start drawing it on a specific coordinate until we reach exercise number 2. Then you start here, for instance, and then in this direction what you need to have is 270. So make sure that your lines are horizontal, perfectly horizontal. If your polar, like the polar tracking, you see here the little icon, I'm covering make sure that it's turned on, because if it's on, then it will particularly tell you when the line is horizontal by showing you like a horizontal nice green line that's extending pretty much throughout the drawing. So therefore our first unit is 270. Then in the horizontal I'm going to type 270, and then I'm going to press enter to confirm that is my dimension. Okay, so now the thing is, you may wonder, like, but I don't see my line, where is it? So even if you scroll down and scroll up, you might not be able to see it. The reason is because the drawing is, the line is there, but if you're not able to see it, what you will do is you can press escape, or you can press enter, just to confirm the end of your first line command. Okay, then once you press enter, or then probably you may be able to see it. So what you can do is, there is a command, we call it pan, or sometimes you can look at it like on the navigational tool. Usually it's like on the right hand side, you will see something that looks like this, a palm, right? If you drag it like that, then you will be able to see it. Now I can see it, and then I can bring it to a convenient scale. Now the next step is you need to draw a line. Again, you start the line command by typing L and press enter. Then make sure that like your object snap, the thing here that you see on the status bar, is turned on. Why? Every time when you hover your mouse around where you want to start a line command or circle command or something like that, what are you going to see is like a little square. That little square literally tells you that like that's right the corner of, you know, the corner of like where you can snap and start the line. Then in the vertical direction it's 190 if I'm not mistaken. Then you confirm your dimension by pressing enter. Now, and then move in this direction once again to 170. And then you can bring your mouse and then snap it to the end of that corner. Then there you have like your first square. Okay, then the next step, what you can do is, there is an offset command that tells you like to offset lines. So how does the offset command work? So the first thing is like, you know, the offset command is this is how the offset command looks like. Probably if you have a window, then it may look a little different from what I have here, which is a Mac. Or you can just simply type O and then press enter, or just type the whole thing offset. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to offset the bottom line that you see here by 10. So I'm going to do offset. Then AutoCAD is asking me like the distance. Always something that you need to keep in mind is like, if you are working in AutoCAD, once you start a command, just follow what has been asked by AutoCAD. It will just literally lead you through the steps. So here the thing, so I started the offset command. Now it's asking me like specify offset distance, or if you already have one, then it's going to continue with that, but we haven't entered any distance yet. Then we're going to use a 10, then press enter. Then the next step, AutoCAD is asking me to select my object. I'm going to select this object, click, and then AutoCAD is asking me in what direction should I offset it. If I move the cursor in this direction, it doesn't matter where, but if it is like above the selected line, the selected line, as you can see, is here is like it's highlighted with a blue. Then if I click anywhere up here, it's going to offset the line by a distance. You already specified the distance. It doesn't matter whether I click here or click here or click here, click here, click here, anywhere. As far as like it's above that selected line, it's going to offset it in that direction. But if I move the cursor down and then select it to the bottom, then AutoCAD will offset that line down or below the highlighted line. So, but in this case, I need it in this direction. I want to repeat that same thing. I'll go ahead and then do this. Okay, this is how you offset the lines. Okay, so therefore that's how you are going to proceed with the first steps of the work. Okay, so for instance, this is how you offset it. Like as you can see here, you need, you see my name, assignment number, ID, date. It doesn't matter, it was a random date that was represented. So this is how you do it. Then the next step is I'm going to show you how to trim and clean up your work sometimes. Okay, the rest is line, circle commands. You might not probably need my help further because this is your first exercise. I'll be here to help you anyway. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to offset this vertical line, this one, in this direction by 70 to create this part, this little guy. Okay, then this is how I'm going to proceed with that. What I'm going to do is, like, my cursor is clean, it doesn't have any command or a follow-up command. If it has, then I would press escape. Anyway, I'm going to start with the offset command. If I start to offset like now, then AutoCAD will ask you my offset distance is whatever I input in the previous step. The previous step, my offset distance was 10. If I just randomly start offsetting right now, if I press enter and continue, then AutoCAD will offset the lines by 10. But now I have a new distance which is 17, then I'm pressing 17. There I have, click, 70. That's it. Then once you do that, what you can do is you can trim. There is a command known as trim. So the trim command looks somehow like this in a Mac. It looks a little different in a window. But what you can always rely on is like on the command line if you know the command. If you type trim and then press enter, then AutoCAD will start the trim command. So what am I going to trim? Because this part of this line is extra. I don't need it. It's not part of my drawing. Then I need to trim it. The way it works is the following. The trim command, it may need a little more exercise, but definitely once you have a hang of it, it's a very nice tool that helps you, like, to trim extra lines here and there. How do you do it? So the first thing what you need to do is, like, you need to have your edge. Sometimes I call it like your knife. Okay, this is your knife. Once you select your knife, you press enter. The first line that you select in the trim command is your edge or your knife that you use to cut the extra line. Then I press enter. Then which one is the extra? This is the extra. See, when I move the cursor close to that line, AutoCAD shows me like what I can trim. I can trim this line, I can trim this line, or I can trim this line using that blue highlighted line. But the thing is, those two extreme lines on the left, on the right are not my interest, but this guy is. Click, that's it. Then, the next step what you can do is probably, you will want to offset this in this direction by the given distance, which is 65. Then you can do that with the rest of them. So just once again, to highlight that I'm not sure, like, if you really need my help further in the remaining parts of the exercises, because pretty much this is a random dimension. Today it's like your first exercise. There's no any specific dimension, but what I want you is I want you to draw as much as possible that looks like this guy. Okay. The rest, if you feel anywhere like a missing dimension, then just go ahead and then assume it. For instance, like you may feel this dimension is not given. You may assume, I don't know, a 25 or a 30. Okay, that's fine. All right. That's always the thing that we try to do it. Then you already know how to start the line command to draw squares, to draw rectangles, and to draw circle, and so on and so forth. Okay, so to draw a circle, the command that you will want to use, of course, is circle. You press C and then press enter, and then you can draw a circle. So as you can see here, AutoCAD is asking me now specify the radius. What if I don't have the radius? What will you do? You can type D. You see here, right here, you see it shows you like you also have an option to put in diameters, but right now it's asking me to specify radius. For instance, if I type 15, then that's a circle with a radius of 15. If I want to draw a square, as we already mentioned it, like you start a line command and then you type the distance. That's there, my line, and then I'm going to type another 40 in this direction. Then I move the cursor to this direction and then type 40. Look, one thing that I can do with AutoCAD is I haven't skipped the line command to draw those 3 lines, right? For the 4th line, I don't even need to put on a dimension. I can bring it and snap it here, or there's another one that's called C. This C is not for circle, but this is for close. Because I have been drawing continuously, then the last step can be completed by typing C2. Okay, then probably you may need a help for this drawing. Like as you can see here, there are circles and there are semicircles and things like that. It's not really as difficult as it seems. What you can do is first, you can draw a construction line. You may call it a construction line. Like for instance, you draw a line from here to here, which has a size of 60. But you can delete that line later. Then you can start the circle command and you can snap it here and start your first circle, which is I think with a radius of 6.5. You do the same thing, the circle command on the other end, which is I think 6.5. And the other one is there are 2 larger arcs. Those are arcs with radius of 50. It's already given here. So you can go ahead and then draw a circle with radiuses of 15 using that center. Okay. And then 15 as well. Once you do that, what you can do is you can draw lines that start from the quadrant of this line and then to the quadrant of that line. You can do the same thing to the bottom part, quadrant from quadrant to quadrant. Then what I'm going to show you here is there is a chance to trim here. Look, if I start the trim command, if I select my edges, this is one edge, this is another edge, because I want to trim part of the circle between those 2 lines, right? And then press enter, and AutoCAD will ask me to select my areas of selection to trim. Here I have. Okay, then you can go ahead and then complete the remaining parts of the drawing. Then I'm going to jump to number 2 of the exercise. Number 2 is saying using the line command, you need to draw this, which has sides of 50 millimeters for each. So, well, this one is may feel a little tricky, but if you went through the slides and the audios that I recorded, then probably shouldn't be a problem. So the thing is you're not expected to draw that octagon inside the escape, but rather what you can do is you can do the following. Then the first thing is I want you to start the line command, and then as you can see, the very first corner of the drawing, it starts at point 0, 0. So therefore, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start the coordinate 0, 0. You may say how am I going to eyeball and find that 0, 0? No, you don't have to. What you can do is you can type the coordinate as 0.0, then automatically AutoCAD will start the drawing for you. Then the dimensions of the sizes in this direction, it is 50. So therefore type 50 when the line is horizontal, then press enter. There I have it. Okay, I know the drawing is pretty big relatively because it's going to cross to this drawing. What do you need to do? What you can do is you can select this, everything like that. Okay, and then there is a command called move. Okay, so you can either move by selecting this, and then AutoCAD will ask me a base point. Then my base point for the selected thing is here. Okay, and then I can move it up. Okay, then escape by pressing escape. So once again, I can start my line command as 0, 0, press enter. Then in this direction the dimension is 50. So since it's an octagon, then the angle that makes with the horizontal is 45 degrees. So the way to proceed with this, I'm just going to show you for one time, and then the rest is fine. So with the relative polar coordinate, what you can do is, when the line is like indicating in this direction, type the dimension, which is 50. Then you decide the angle. How do you do it? Using the tab command. Tab on your keyboard. If you press tab, then now you can specify the angle, which is 45. Then I'm going to press, there I have it. And the second one, along here, it is fine. Then you can just simply type 50, and there I have the line. Then to go in this direction, look, the angle is not 45, because the angle is always, since it's like an engineering tool, mostly the angles are measured in the counterclockwise direction. If you follow, like, you see the angle is increasing to 60 now, to 90, and then you pass that 90, it's going to blah blah blah. So 45 plus 90 is 135. So therefore your angle right now is going to be 135. So therefore type 50 and then press tab and then 135. There I have. Okay, then in this direction I'm going to continue with 50. Okay, and then in this direction you can count like another 50 dimensions, but this time what do? It's going to be 180 plus, because the angle is measured in with the horizontal, right? So from here, look, the angle starts from 0, goes up to here, and then it can even come here. So it's going to be more than 100. So it's also measuring it like in the other direction, but most of the time, like, the angle has to be measured relatively with respect to the x-axis. So, but in this case it brought it, then change it to 135. There I have. Then in the vertical you just type 50. Then since I haven't interrupted anywhere, then if I type C, then it's going to close it for me. Okay, so this is how you will do the exercise for number 2. Then that's pretty much it. Then the rest is that's how you will proceed. Okay, so if you need any help, just shoot me an email.